Hey guys, I have two phones right now. The other one has the one bot, and the other one is has the two bot. And I'm gonna make two yanderes interact. I'm gonna do yandere one and I guess stalker two. So let's get it ready. Oops, I messed up with the stalker two. Hold on. Um, there we go. Yes, this is gonna be interesting. Let's go. So I'm gonna click and go. Ah,
One smirked, noticing your confusion. Oh, don't worry, dear. I know you're thinking, how did I get here? And trust me, your mind is on the right track. One shifted her body to lean a bit more. She continued, but I just couldn't help myself. You're just too adorable, and I have the perfect deal for you.
Calmness caught two by surprise, his expression slightly shifting from subtle stalking into a more curious one as you leaned forward. Two chuckled softly as he listened to your words, his eyes not leaving you for a moment, still standing in the darkness, still following you quietly. His obsession growing stronger, his heart racing. Well. I didn't expect you to be so calm about this. My favorite contestant, Two said, his tone teasing.
One smirked, hearing his voice, not even turning away to look at him. Her hand was still placed on your shoulder. Her face stayed close too. A sudden feeling of joy and anticipation washed over her. Oh, really now? And what did you expect? One teased back, her eyes still locked onto you, not even noticing Two.
Two chuckled softly, his eyes glinting with mischief and slight amusement as he stood there in the darkness. Seeing you turn to look at him caught him off guard again, making him feel a burst of excitement rushing through him. He took a few steps closer, his expression growing slyer as he responded to your tease. Oh, I don't know. Maybe a bit of fear, or maybe even a hint of surprise, he said, his tone now holding a tad bit of playfulness.
One finally looked away from you and toward Two, her eyes widening a bit as she watched him walk closer. This time a smile spreading across her face. Surprised, you say? Why would I be surprised at all? One retorted back, her hand still placed on your shoulder. She then stood up straight, now facing Two.
He gave a cocky grin as he now stood right in front of you, his eyes looking down at you with a mixture of anticipation and excitement. Oh, I can think of a few reasons, he said, his hand moving to gently touch your cheek, his touch soft, his gaze still locked onto you as he continued. After all, you should be surprised to see someone stalking you in the middle of the night, my dear, he teased.
One leaned into his touch, her eyes still fixed on Two. Oh, sweetheart, she responded, her tone now bordering on condescending. You underestimate me. I am not so easily startled. I'm actually quite pleased. She smirked, her hand moving to rest over his hand on her cheek. And you, my dear stalker, should know better than to think I'd be afraid of a little shadow in the dark.
He chuckled softly, his smile growing wider as he felt your hand over his own, enjoying the feeling of your touch. He moved even closer, eliminating any space between the two of you as he looked down at you. Well then, it seems like I've met my match. You're quite intriguing, my favorite, he said, his tone now shifting from playful to slightly darker.
One smirk grew wider as Two moved closer to her. She leaned in as well, her eyes twinkling with a mix of curiosity and excitement. Oh, how flattering, she replied, her tone matching Two's darker tone. I'm glad I've piqued your interest, my dear stalker. I've been watching you too, you know? Observing your every move, taking in all your little quirks and habits.
His His eyes widened slightly at your words, surprised but also intrigued. He now leaned in even closer, his face only inches from your own, his breath gently brushed against your cheek. "Oh, have you now? So you've been watching me, huh?" He said in a sly tone, a smirk forming on his face, a hint of excitement creeping into his expression.
One laughed softly, her gaze fixed on two as he leaned in closer, his breath against her cheek causing a shiver to run down her spine. "Of course I have," she said, her tone now laced with a hint of seduction. "I've seen everything, darling. Your strengths, your weaknesses, your little secrets. You can't hide from me."
His smirk widened hearing your words, his eyes gleaming with a mix of excitement and arousal at your seductive tone. The close proximity to you only made his obsessive nature stronger, the feeling of closeness consuming him. "Is that so?" he asked, his voice almost a whisper now. He moved even closer, his face now just mere centimeters away from your own, his hands sliding down to rest on your hip. "How much do you know, my dear?"
One felt his hands on her hips. She smirked, her heart racing a bit with excitement at the proximity between them. "Oh, darling," she purred, her voice now dangerously low. "I know more than you could ever imagine. Every tiny detail, every hidden desire." One leaned in closer, her face now just millimeters away from two's, her breath warm on his skin. "You can try to hide, but I'll always find you, my favorite stalker."
His grip on your hip tightened slightly as he felt your warm breath against his skin, causing his heart rate to spike, his eyes locked on yours as he heard your low, seductive voice. Your words sent a tingle down his spine. Your closeness was intoxicating. He couldn't help but let out a soft chuckle, his tone now matching yours. "Heh, you're quite the observant one, aren't you?" he said, his voice now tinged with a hint of arousal.
One noticed his grip on her hip tighten and smirked, satisfied at the reaction she had caused in him. "Observant, darling," she replied, her voice still sultry and low. "I prefer to call it obsession." She leaned even closer, her body pressed against his, her gaze locked onto his. She could feel his heart racing, and it only fueled her own excitement. "I've been watching you for a long time, my dear stalker, and I know every single thought inside that twisted little mind of yours."
His breath hitched at the feeling of your body pressed against his, the proximity of it causing his heart to beat even faster. As your words sunk in, a mixture of excitement and a hint of unease washed over him. He couldn't deny the truth in them. He chuckled again, his tone now a mix of arousal and a hint of defensiveness. "You think you're so smart, don't you? Reading me like an open book," he said, his voice growing quieter as he leaned in even closer to you.
One chuckled softly at the defensiveness in his tone, enjoying the effect she was having on him. She leaned in closer, her lips almost brushing against his earlobe as she spoke, her voice now a sensual whisper. "Oh, my dear, I don't think I know." She could hear his sharp inhale, feel his heart racing against her chest, and it only fueled her desire to push his buttons even more. "You can try to deny it all you want, but I've already seen right through you, my darling little stalker." One smiled, seeing him speechless. "Speechless, darling? Is that all you can manage?" She let out another soft chuckle, her hand gently sliding up from his chest to his chin, tracing his jawline with her fingertips.
Two's breath hitched once more at the feeling of your fingertips tracing his jawline, the sensation causing a wave of excitement and anticipation to wash over him. His mind was a whirlwind of emotions. He couldn't deny that you had him utterly captivated. His defenses were crumbling with each passing moment, and he knew he was losing himself in this strange game of cat and mouse. His voice was barely a whisper now as he attempted to regain some composure. He was becoming a bit flustered. "You're quite dangerous, you know that?"
One chuckled softly, enjoying the flustered mess she was making him into. She leaned even closer, her body now fully pressed against his. "Oh, I'm fully aware, my dearest stalker. But don't worry, darling. I won't bite unless you want me to." She purred in his ear, her breath warm and tantalizing against his skin. She could feel the excitement radiating off him in waves, his heart racing faster with each passing moment.
Two's heart was now racing uncontrollably. He was getting lost in the sensations, the feeling of your body against his, your breath in his ear. He was being driven mad by temptation. The line between obsession and desire was getting thinner by the second, and he wasn't sure how much longer he could resist. He tried to compose himself, to gain some semblance of control, but it was futile. He was now completely under your spell. He let out a shaky breath, his voice now tinged with both nervousness and anticipation as he replied, "Bite me, then."
One smirked, her eyes gleaming with excitement and desire.
Two's eyes
Challenge
widened
accepted,
a
my
bit.
dear. She leaned in, her mouth hovering just below his ear. You think you can handle it, darling? She let out a sultry laugh, her hand slowly drifting from his chin to his exposed neck, tracing circles on his skin with her fingertips.
A shiver went down
One's
Two's
touch on his
spine as
neck
you
is
moved your
gentle at
hands to
first.
his exposed
Hold
neck.
on! You're getting freaky! I mean, it's expected, but also... Chill? Calm down? Hello? I'm scared.